to get started? Which team wants to? Oh, thank you, Belinda. Which team wants to get started with their demos first? You have any volunteers? Okay.
I can try that. Yeah.
All right, go ahead and share your screen. I believe it should be ready for you.
Yep. Okay, I hope you can see my screen.
We can see it.
Yep.
Yay. Okay, so Rachel and I were working on the functionality to allow user create a new shopping list. In order to do that, we created a form on the homepage, and here we have label, input, and button. When user enter the name, for example, let's say Walmart, they can create a list. They see a message that indicates that list was created successfully or not. After that, they are redirected to the list page. Let me just click here, okay, and I will go back. We also handle the case when user tries to submit the form without any input, or just can, for example, give spaces and put not correct input. It also indicates an error message. The challenges that we encounter was related to saving our path to our local storage, but we modify the function in our Firebase file that instead of returning nothing, now returns an object. And yeah, from there we take this path and also store it to local storage. And that's it.
Awesome. So you said a message appears whenever you create a new list. I'm not sure if it just went too quickly or if it transitioned to the new slide and
yes, so I'm not
or
sure.
the new page slide. Sorry.
So we have here alert message. I'm not sure. Can you see it if I share the screen or not? Probably. Let me try.
I don't see the alert, but if it perhaps it's because you're just sharing the.
Yeah.
It should show up even if you're sharing the browser. But if you see it, that's fine.
Yeah, we see it. Yeah.
All right, perfect. That looks good. Perfect. Thank you, Irina. I always mispronounce it. Maybe you'll help me pronounce it one more time. Help me pronounce it one more time. It's Irina. Is that correct?
It's Irina.
Irina. I will have to write that down. Irina. Okay. Thank you so much. All right, and we have Paige and Jose. Which one of you will be doing your demo?
That's me. I apologize for my voice also. I went to a concert yesterday.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Nice. It sounds like fun.
Share my screen. Okay. So Jose and I had the issue to add new items to a shopping list. And so we started, the Zoom is in my way. I can't with that. Okay, so we started with the form and we added the HTML labels, and in managing the form, we started with two different we started with a single use state to make the form data and handle the change, but we were running into issues with the targeting value being the same for both the item name and the days until next purchase. So we changed it to using two use states to separate the item name and the days until next purchase, and then used two custom hooks for handle change item and handle change date, which worked. And we were able to have another hook for handle submit, which we gave to the on submit to handle the submitting of the form, but Jose was able to refactor it really well so that we just used the JavaScript form data, so that we were able to get rid of the use states and just use the handle submit. And I think that's a really good, because we'll be able to use the use state for handling validators later, because like during the review process, Rachel suggested, or not Rachel, yeah, Rachel suggested we use the required, but Tim pointed out that the built-in HTML validators aren't really great. So I think we'll be able to go back and re-import use state and use that to do validating. And so on the actual page, if you enter an item name and then select the days that you think you'll purchase it again in, and submit it, we have an alert pop up that says that the item was saved successfully. And then if you go to the list page, you'll see the item that you added. What we had to change on the back end in the firebase.js file was the add item function. Initially it was just console logging the item that we were giving to the list. So we, since we're importing a document into the collection that is the list itself, we imported the add doc method and just replaced the console log with add doc so that our items would be saved to the database.
That's awesome. Can we see you kind of navigate that using some of the accessibility features?
Yeah.
Thanks. You should be able to tab into the input there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's type in another item just to. Awesome. Works perfectly. All right, good job. Really nice work.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everyone like understood what I was talking about when I said like the HTML validators like are inaccessible. Did everyone like understand what I was talking about in the PR reviews? Any questions about that at all? Cool. Awesome. Sorry, Christina, continue.
No, you're fine. I think that those are a lot of things too, that whenever you go to the end of your project and you try to think about, well, are we going to have, use, like, I know both Rachel and Irina asked about using some, special packages for different pop-ups and stuff like that. I think that once you guys decide as a team what it is that you want to use, and you can start making those decisions for that kind of stuff too, which is great. Anything to add to the accessibility, that's perfect. Great job, I think.
Totally. Yeah, so we have the two things we have left to do today is go over issues and then do a retrospective. I was thinking maybe we just do the issues first and then we can spend the rest of the time on the retrospective until we feel like we're good. So yeah, Belinda, you want to take that?
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, let me get my screen share going. We will go over the issues. I think that's right. All right, can y'all see a tab that says issues? Fantastic. So let's start with issue 6. So as a user, I want to be able to invite others to an existing shopping list. Summary. We want to allow users to invite others to existing shopping lists so they can manage them with friends or family. So take the following steps. 1, user enters an existing user's email into a form. 2, the share list function in the API or in the Firebase JS is called with the appropriate inputs. Please note that an existing user is a user that has signed into the app before. And then we have the acceptance criteria. The managed list view shows a form that allows the user to enter an email to invite an existing user to a list, in addition to the form that allows them to add an item to that list. The input that accepts the email has a semantic label element associated with it. The user cannot submit the form with both the user can submit this form with both the mouse and the enter key. If the other user exists, the user is alerted that the list was shared. If the other user does not exist, the user is shown an error message that explains the problem. And then there are some notes down here, handy notes. You will know your label is correctly implemented if you click on the label The keyboard focus moves to the related input. Refer to the MDN docs on the label element for more info. Users will be able to submit the form with the enter key if you listen for the right JavaScript event on the right element. If you're adding an on key down listener anywhere, you might be overcomplicating things, similar to leave issue 3 for reference. And then check the share list function, Firebase, to get an idea of how you will know if a list was shared. And let me check. We didn't have a predetermined list of humans, right? I'm supposed to.
We do actually.
We do.
Oh, we do.
Issue 6 is going to be Rachel and Paige.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you.
It's Rachel
It's like the
Spencer,
fourth
sister.
one
Yeah.
down, the third
Yes.
one down. Yeah.
This one, yeah. Rachel. And who else? Paige? Great. How did that? Oh, I know how to use GitHub. All right, great. Any questions on this one?
No, not yet.
All right, fantastic. Check out issue 7 then. All right, summary. Oh, the title. As a user, I want to filter my shopping list to make it easier to locate an item in the list. Summary. Allowing users to search through their list will help them cut down on clutter and focus on items they're looking for. The acceptance criteria. A form is added to the top of the list view above the shopping list. The form includes the following elements: a text field with semantic labels, which narrows down the list as the user types. When there's text in the field, some kind of button, example, an X, to clear the field. When the field is cleared, the list is reset to its unfiltered state. Similar to issue 6, you will know your label is correctly implemented if you click on the label and the keyboard focus moves to the related input. You can refer to the MDN docs for more info. And the filtered text should match any part of the item name. For example, it should not only match from the start of the string. And so this would be, say, and Rinya.
Yeah, mine starts, yeah, that one. TR.
All right. Any questions on this one?
Not for now. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, happy coding. Excited to see what y'all get up to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Belinda. Yeah, so the rest of the time we can spend on a retrospective, which is kind of part of that agile methodology that we talked a little bit about in that learning module, where we want to kind of figure out how we're working as a team, what's going well, what can be improved. And yeah, we're doing this in like kind of 2 week pretty quick cycles. And that's just to, ensure that we're not kind of building in these like bad habits of working with each other and making sure that everything is as kind of above board as possible in our communication and and like the work that we're doing. So let me share. Did everyone get to see the link in Slack that I sent for the board? Cool. I'll share it for 1 sec just to make sure that everyone kind of is on the same page. 1 moment. Yeah, so we have these 4 columns: appreciations, what went well, what could be improved, and then action items. I would say that if everyone could, so I'm going to set a timer for like 5 minutes and we can all just go through this on our own. And I think if everyone could add like at least one thing to each of the first 3 columns, that'd be awesome. And you're obviously welcome to add more than one thing, but just like if we can use that as a baseline, that'd be cool. And then we'll kind of go through them and everyone can read the stuff that they're saying. And then we can create some action items off of that if there's stuff that like feels like it really needs to be kind of put into our process. And again, like this is like a totally safe space where like, feel free to say what you want to say. And yeah, we're all we're all kind of on the same page here, trying to improve. Everyone's trying to learn. So yeah, just I think just want to say that it's should be a comfortable space. Obviously, like there's ways of putting things that are more a little easier to digest than others, right? So just be kind to each other, but be honest. And yeah, I don't know, Belinda, Christina, do you have anything else to add to this thought process?
I do, but I don't know if your team did it like this in the past. It was always like we were asked to write our little initials at the end so that whenever we go back and do the reviewing process or discussion, everybody kind of remembers what ticket is or which comment belongs to who, and you can read it out loud. I don't know if that's how your team did it. But
Yeah,
that
I
was
think
something that kind of made it a little bit easier. So if you add your initials at the end.
cool. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, so tag yourself with the thing that you said, and yeah, you kind of go through. There's this add item button at the bottom, and it'll just open up a little text block where you can write stuff.
And
Cool.
appreciations and all of these can be for like other team members, for the program. It's everything,
Yeah,
not just the
totally.
program
Yeah,
itself,
super
but like
super
all of your
general. It
experience.
can be anything. Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. Belinda, do you have any thoughts? I feel like you have probably more experience in running these things than I do, honestly. So
I'll just say that I absolutely love retros, both as when I was an engineer and as a manager, because it helps me figure out how I can help the team feel better collaborating together and, just having a better time together. So I love retros. I think they're great.
yeah, and I think like focusing on that this is us as a team, like we're all working together here. Like that's kind of the important thing to note. So yeah, we're just trying to be the best team we can be. Cool. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I'm gonna set like a 5-minute timer, and yeah, people can start filling this out, and then we'll regroup. If you feel like you're like totally done, maybe feel free to throw like a done in Slack or in the chat or whatever. And maybe we can cut it a little short, but I feel like 5 minutes is pretty reasonable. So yeah. All right. All right, how are people feeling? Are people finishing up a couple of things? Give it another minute. All right. Yeah, I think this feels like we have a good board going here. So I think for the process, we can just start in the left column and kind of work our way down. And if you're the person who wrote like the next little blurb, feel free to read it out. And if you have any extra thoughts to add to it, yeah, you can do that then. So I'm not sure who the first person who wrote was, but go for it.
Sorry, I just realized I didn't put my initials on anything.
It's okay.
I wrote the first one for Paige and Jose for just being really understanding about the error I made with my PR review and just creating an easy workaround for it. So thank you guys for that. I was very stressed about it and yeah, made it easy. I wrote the second one as well. For Christina, thank you for just being available when Irina and I had a question regarding the token part of our for issue 4. Thanks. I'm the other one too. Sorry.
Back to the draw.
Irina, yeah, I think she has a really good strong quality, which is, it's so easy to change a little piece of code and you're like, okay, when we change that, it's going to fix that. But, going back and checking your code because there might be a side effect that's now altering something else. So I think that she's very good at like each step going back and checking and yeah. And, we found other issues in doing that. So that's really, really good.
Awesome. The next one's me. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out Belinda and Christina for just being really easy and amazing to work with through the first couple of weeks of this process.
Thanks, Tim. Mine's the next one. I really appreciate the information that you shared about accessibility. That was really insightful and helpful to know. I did not know. So thank you for sharing that.
Next one's me. Just all the mentors. Thank you for always being available and like for having regular office hours and always being in Slack when one of us asks a question. Thanks.
All right, and the next one is mine. I appreciate the support that I've received from Tim and Belinda, so kind of similar to Tim's there. The next one's also mine. I appreciate that Rachel came to open office hours and brought her questions regarding the code review process and PRs. This is the place to learn, so never feel afraid to come and make yourself feel vulnerable and share oops, I think I did this wrong, or can you take a look at this. It's not always easy to do, but this is definitely the place to do that kind of stuff. So thank you so much for coming. It also brought up kind of like, okay, this is something we could have reinforced. So if anyone has any questions about PRs or code reviews, definitely feel free to let us know.
Thanks for supporting me there as well, Christina, because I kind of was like, oh, where do I go from here? I've like pushed my comments up. So thanks for like helping me figure out the 2 ways I could have handled it.
No problem. It's the first time and now you know.
It's all good. Yeah, I just wanted to shout out all of you for just kind of taking the leap of faith of being a part of this program and, you know, being in this early career, kind of career changing process that you're all in. Cause it's like, yeah, I know how hard it can be, but you're all making like really good decisions and choices about what you're doing right now. So I'm super proud of all of you. This has been really cool to see already.
Thanks, Tim.
My next one's actually mine. Of course, I forgot to add my initials, even though. So I appreciate Irina's and Rachel's patience this week with their issue. There was a little bit of miswording from the old token, and so it was helpful for me to take a dive into it. And also, I think it's something that we can improve for future cohorts. So I really appreciate your guys' patience with that and being so understanding.
Well, that's me. I'm going to give a shout out to Christine and Tim being supportive and encouraging commenters. I was really nervous about doing this, but excited, and all just made it easier. So thank you.
I think that's me. So yeah, Tim, Christina, and Belinda, thank you just for, being there, for the mentorship, for being there for us to answer all our questions and concerns. That's really big. So thank you.
Oh, sorry, this one's mine. Yeah, thanks for spotting bugs, Irina. And also, I'm terrible for just sitting down and like 5 hours have passed and I haven't gotten up from my chair. And she was very good about being like, yeah, but let's just take a break really quickly. I was like, oh yes, actually that's a very good idea. So thank you for that. And I think it's something, I need to be better at doing. Yeah.
Oh, that's probably mine. Yeah, so I wanted to shout out to Rachel for this positive vibe and also willing to help and discuss the issue, try to, find the solution, the better solution, and test it. So yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
And also I want to shout out to Paige because we code for the first time actually like last week. So it was pretty cool. Thank you for that. And yeah, I also wanted to say that I'm super excited to learn how to review PRs. I never done that before. So I'm just like go to GitHub and I'm trying to, oh, maybe this is the better way or not. And I'm a little bit worried if I should leave this comment or not because I'm doing this for the first time. So I'm not sure, if it's right or not. Yeah, and it's pretty interesting experience, so I'm very grateful for it. As well as I want to say thank you to Christina for helping us with Rachel this week, and yeah, for the review from Tim.
Awesome. Cool. So now we're moving on to the what went well category.
That first one's mine. Thanks, Irina, for being a great pair programmer for that first week. This is also sort of appreciation, but like when we were programming, I noticed myself kind of jumping forward and like going too fast, but Irina, you were really good at being like, no, let's like back it up and let's work through this and like do this first and like this step and then this step. And it was a really good process. And I really appreciated that you helped me like slow down and like go through each step. So thank you so much.
Sorry, this one's mine. I think we all used Slack and communicated well to let us know when our PRs were ready and also when we reviewed them. I think it was like not too much like over communication, but just simply like, hey, it's ready. And I thought that was good because it just keeps that ball moving. Unfortunately, I went and did my review quite quickly, but I realized that I think because I wasn't assigned as a reviewer, and then when I got assigned again, I had to do it again. So I think that kind of like slowed it down a bit, but I still think we're pretty good at, letting each other know when we've done it.
Yeah, that was tricky. Maybe we can open it up at the end for some extra little things like that. The next one was mine. I think everyone did really well on their first demos. It's not easy to present your work and to make sure you're keeping a nice balance between, talking code and focusing on that user interface. So really nice job there. That's for everyone, both last week and this week.
Yeah, I want to +1 that. I feel like the demos have been really, really good. And then, yeah, I was going to say that the communication, like commenting in the PRs, I think has been like super, super solid. So love to see that.
Oh, this is for Jose. Jose, I like the refactor that you did there, that you took the time to refactor it. Sometimes, we are so focused on, fixing a problem that we don't take the time to go back and kind of fine tune it. So nice job taking the time to, go ahead and do a little refactor there. Yeah.
Same thing. Refactoring on that was really great, and you actually taught me new things. I know that we had like some bumps during the programming process, but like that was really great. So like your stuff, be confident about it.
This one's me. Demos. I love seeing what y'all are working on, and everyone did a great job walking through the work. I love the demos.
So I guess we're at the what could be improved column. Mine
I
is
think
the
there's
first.
I think there's
There's
two
two
more.
more.
On
Oh,
what
there
went
is.
well.
Okay, sorry. I need to
It's okay.
scroll. My
Yeah, you
page
might
mustn't be big enough.
screen too small. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
I think Jose is up, right?
Yeah, so I want to give a shout out to Aruna for being very thorough in her code reviews. There's a lot of things that are easy to miss, and she caught them, and we able to fix them. Rachel for making us aware of a necessary improvement that even though it wasn't in the acceptance criteria, we felt like it should have been. I'm speaking about the form validation, making every input a required input. I think that was a really good catch, and yeah, we appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, I guess I'm the last one here in this chapter. Yeah, so I think pair programming is super cool. We can learn a lot from each other. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for that. For example, I like how Rachel, she always very think about our user and our edge cases, what can happen if, for example, someone would change, I don't know, some functionality. And in this case, we have to think about these edge cases. So it's pretty cool and I guess very important in our work. And yeah, I also wanted to say thank you to Jose, right? I hope I pronounce it correctly, for spotting our issue that we have, because we mentioned this in our PR and Jose tested it. And actually this comment, it just was as a navigator for us to find a better solution to fix our problems. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah, it seems like the pair programming has gone really well from my perspective, which is cool. Yeah, moving on to what could be improved, Rachel.
Yeah,
You got
I
the
think
first
mine
one.
was the first one. I thought the pause before was because no one knew who it was. Sorry. Yeah, this is just for myself. I think because the first week the PR review is quite simple and quick, so I kind of like forgot the process But yeah, I'm confident that next week I won't make the same mistake. But yeah, I just hope to improve on the PR review process.
For myself, I want to get better at like presenting the demos and talking to the team. I feel like I practice, but then when it comes time, everything goes blank, and I'm like, nothing I planned is right. What am I gonna do? So I'd like to work on that.
We've all been there for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why our discussion last week was so short, was because I did the same thing. So I think it happened. All right, so this one's for me since a lot of the issues are new. I think I can try to work harder to kind of anticipate some of those areas that might cause concern. Kind of like with that issue that Rachel and Irina worked on. So I'll try that.
So I uploaded the YouTube video right away, but then I forgot to share in the channel, and then enough time passed that I felt really silly and I felt like it was going to look like I put it up late, so I never did it. And what I'm trying to say is I have social anxiety, and so I can talk myself out of anything that means I have to message a group of people. So I'm going to work really hard on doing better about that, and I'm going to pop into the Slack more just to say hi.
This one's for me too. We could have clarified the PR and code process review a little bit more. I know that we did it in that demonstration in week 1, but it's a lot of information to take in. So that was definitely a big takeaway for me, to give some more reminders on how that works in the future. So thank you for letting us all know that.
Totally. Yeah, the funny thing about like the PR and code review that we did in week 1 is just that it was like so simple. So there wasn't like that the actual back and forth that happens in reality. So like, yeah, you all had really no way of knowing what that actual process is like. So yeah, I think we can definitely clarify that a bunch more. And then yeah, the next one is mine. I forgot to create that like pair programming thread in Slack this last week, so this is like on me on some level. But yeah, I would love to see. I know there's like conversation going on and messages and stuff, but I would love to see some of that like surface into the Slack channel itself, so that like everyone can kind of see what the thought processes are that are happening. Because I think it's just like seeing people working through problems like that, just like even if it's tangential to what you're working on, I think it's just like a really helpful process. And then you can kind of like having that stuff, in public channels is kind of like its own form of documentation, if you know what I mean. So it's like all this stuff like you can come back to and you're like, oh, this is why we made this decision. And yeah, if like, if you have it in your messages, like you'll be able to do that. But if somebody, you just doesn't have the same visibility for other people. So yeah, I would love to see a little bit more of that, and I will definitely remember to make the threads this week. My bad. Yeah.
I think mine is up. So I kind of remember the mentor saying to try and front load the week a lot. I think like Irina and I were trying to get our PR kind of done by Tuesday, but the instructions kind of threw us off a bit, and we went a really long route to solve this. So yeah, because I think if the PRs are up by Tuesday, it kind of gives everyone a little bit more time to go and open the other PRs and really practice reading other people's code and seeing like what we could see to improve. But of course, like it was a bit tricky this week because we refactored our issue so many times. So yeah.
This is me. So this is for myself. Just working on becoming better at coding in front of people. So as Paige could attest, I really struggled on the last issue. for example, building out the form, which is something I feel like I've done 100 times before in my personal projects. And, for some reason, when I got to coding, it just like my mind went blank. So I feel like that's a big area for improvement. But also I think the Collab Lab is a perfect opportunity to work on that. So
Totally. I love that. Yeah, so moving on to action items. I know Christina made one. I don't know, Christine, if you want to go through that. I think that's extremely valid. So
Yes. So you guys brought up some really great points, in some of the comments I kind of creeped a little bit on the PRs and all of that. And you guys brought up some really great points in your discussions. Like you were talking about the alerts and the styling that you wanted to have with the alerts, and then the comment that Tim brought up about accessibility. And part of being in an agile team is determining those needs and creating, issues based on those needs. The issues don't have to be created now, but do at least think about it. You can, I don't know, Tim, how you guys did it in your team in the past, but it's definitely nice to keep like a little list of things that you guys would like to implement as a team. And then in the end, you can turn those into issues once you focus on your last 2-week sprint, which is where you're making it your own. But yeah, I don't know if Tim, you have a different way, or Belinda, that you have dealt with this kind of thing in the past.
yeah, no, I think it's totally up to what the team wants to do. I'm totally fine with anyone wanting, like, being able to create an issue, in GitHub, which is a good experience in itself, to just go in there and be able to create an issue. So yeah, I think, especially with the forms, like the status stuff and the validations, I think that probably should be an issue that you'll handle at the end. So yeah, if somebody wants to do that, I think that would be cool, for sure.
And
Yeah.
whoever it takes that gets to say, oh, I was part of an agile team and got to write issues. We all have a chance. But it is a neat experience, like Tim says. You have to write, like, as a user, I want people to, and put it in
Yeah,
there.
because you can kind of use the pre-existing issues as kind of your blueprint, and to make it look like it's part of the same thing. Like, I think just writing like that, it's kind of like it's like its own version of technical writing on some level, to come up with
So-
solid issues with AC and stuff.
For this, like, are you kind of saying that we could go and create our own issue, and it would be like to create a modal that we can use as a component and go through and replace our alerts with like a modal? Is that kind of
Yeah,
what you're saying
effectively.
here?
Exactly. I think, saying that create a modal might be too specific for
Okay.
because I think some of these
Good.
issues are going to be kind of evolving as you go, but so maybe keeping it more generic up front, which is like, creating your own validation system to replace the inaccessible HTML validators, like just an issue that's a little bit more generic. I think will make it easier as you go to be flexible. And I'm kind of just speaking off the cuff here, but that's just how I feel about it. But yeah, that's basically what I do.
Okay.
So you guys can
And
kind of
like-
start a thread. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just want to clarify too, from what I understand, that inaccessibility with those built-in HTML attributes is just because of how they look and everything. They're quite inaccessible.
So
Like,
the
you
issue,
can't really
so
alter
this,
them much and things.
well, the styling of it that's not really an accessibility issue. That's a styling issue, which is an issue, but the accessibility issue is really that you can't control what it says. And also, so, when you have a required and you try to use it, it'll pop up. But then the second you start typing again, it disappears. So thinking accessibility, like that status should state, like people should know what the status is until it's successful. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, so when you're typing a password and it didn't have like, a symbol in it, like it stays there until you put a symbol in and you clear all those requirements.
exactly, so that you know what the requirements are, rather than like, oh, I know there's something that happens, but now I'm typing and I don't really remember what it was, and so like maybe I have to go through this process again or something like that. So that's actually like what's inaccessible about them.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. So any other action items? I feel like maybe doing a like, and I'm happy to do this, like a write-up, a more in-depth write-up of like the PR code review process. Would that be helpful for people? Should I add that as an action item? Cool.
I think that's helpful. I had it on my list to kind of like pop that up as a discussion before we finish here, because I think that that's kind of helpful. Your own code review. Well, and whenever we were doing the beginning of the retro, when you mentioned, Irina, that you weren't sure like if you should put a comment in there or not. I think that putting a comment is always valid. It's, there's different types of comments. So you can say in there like nitpick, suggestion, if something is working and it's working well, you can leave your comment for improvement and still approve a PR. And Belinda and Tim, feel free to chime in on that. So you don't have to request the change unless it's an absolute necessary change. And you can leave those comments in there, and you can even use the labels, nitpick or, suggestion or things like that, so that the team can discuss on their own and decide whether or not they want to implement that, whether it will maybe become an action item, like an issue that you guys implement at the end of the program. So definitely put your thoughts down on paper. And I think that if we do a write-up like Tim is saying, it'll clarify a lot of that stuff too. But feel free to put it down. You don't halt the process, but put it down.
Thank you.
For sure. Cool. Anything else kind of jumping out as action items? I feel like otherwise y'all have been doing a great job. So.
I have kind of a question for you, Tim, because I don't remember before. When Jose brought up the acceptance criteria and kind of like, making those things required, I don't know, and I haven't looked back, I need to look back, but it was just something that popped in during the discussion. Don't we have a ticket that actually handles like how the type of data that can be inserted, like that handles those edge cases?
I honestly need to look at all the issues because it has changed so much since last time I did it. In the past, I'm almost positive there was some sort of like normalization issue where you wanted to like normalize your data, your inputs, which is kind of the validation issue. So yeah, I don't really have an answer for you right now.
Okay. No, maybe I'll look into it. I just wondered if it needed to be an action item to bring up, that the acceptance criteria.
I don't think that needs to be a part of this acceptance criteria at this point.
Okay.
But that being said, I don't think it was a reach to decide as a team that you wanted to add it. I think that's like totally justifiable, and a reasonable thing to do. But yeah, I'm not sure it needs to be at that point yet. But that being said, as you go through this process and I see all the issues, my mind might change on that.
I have a suggested action item. I think Irina and I, because our issue didn't say in there, you will need to change the Firebase config file, like you'll need to alter create list. Because the other issue did say that, I kind of felt, I think we shouldn't do that because if the other issue said it and it's not a nows, and that's why we used effect and we're trying to pull the past off data, but because of how the synchronicity of everything was going, we couldn't get it back. So we made these effect. And so that kind of like blew out the time it took for us to complete the issue. So I wonder if for consistency, or if it would just help if it said you'll need to alter create list slightly, if that was the best approach. I'm not too sure how all the other teams did it, but I feel like as soon as Irina was like, let's return this from inside and of create list, we were like, okay, this is so neat and simple and it works way better.
Yeah.
So that it's like a suggestion, but I don't know if that's something that you know,
There's
Yeah.
few issues that are like that too. Like I
I'll
believe
put this in there for sure. Yeah.
yeah, there's a
What
few issues.
what issue number was that? Sorry.
it's
5
issue
or
number
6?
4.
Or no, 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
5, 4.
And then there was this, you know, in the notes, it says like the create list function takes 3 arguments, blah, blah, blah. Maybe after it, it could say like, you'll need to slightly alter this function or something, you know. And then the other thing for us was at the top, it said save the list path to local storage.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if I think that might have been an old instruction from before.
Yeah, this save the token to local storage. Yeah, that will definitely be removed next time. That was 100% a mistake.
Yeah.
But
So-
yeah, I think you're totally right. Again, I like this is new. All these issues are new for me too. But for me, like 100%, the way that where you ended up was what I would do. Like it was by far the most reasonable approach to return the list stock reference from that function. Because yeah, otherwise you're just in this insane like loop of trying to intersect data at different times of the life cycle, which is not the answer.
Which was a good exercise for Irina and I to try to like okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
tried.
then yeah.
I would say you ended up in the right place for sure. So yeah, I think Claire, like I'll make sure that we bring this up to clarify that like, yeah, editing the Firebase function is something that will need to happen in that issue. Anything else? Final parting thoughts, feelings?
And final parting thoughts, but not related to the retro. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, let's put the bow on the retro. Final retro thoughts. I feel like we got some good stuff here. Cool. Happy first retro, everyone.
Yay.
Christina, what were you thinking?
Just wanted to remind everyone of what the process is going to be like this week. I'll send it in Slack as well. But we have, I believe Belinda is doing open office hours. So she'll communicate with y'all about that, or maybe she can here in a minute. I don't know. And then I'll be doing the code reviews. And as Rachel mentioned, try to front load those as much as possible. Make a good habit of it because the issues will get significantly more difficult, more complex. So it's nice to make sure that we have those front loaded. And then you also have a learning module for this week, which is how to tell your story. I want to encourage you all to watch it. I know that there's like the slides and there's an actual video. The woman who does it is actually the team lead at Netflix, and she has some really neat and inspiring ways to tell your story, which are important, especially for us that are coming as bootcamp grads and have like different stories and sometimes struggle to kind of like show the transition or like our thought process into tech. So definitely suggest taking a look at that one. I don't know if there was anything else. Tim, Belinda, do you have anything else that we need to refresh?
No, that sounds like the week.
I'll drop a poll in Slack for probably Tuesday or Wednesday for office hours.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm gonna make that weekly paired thread right after this, so I don't forget. And otherwise, we'll see you all in Slack and have a good week and happy pair programming. And yeah, feel free to message with anything, any questions anyone has.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good
week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.